Welcome back to the cause. Yesterday was very insightful. The prologue of Vincent's tale was very deep for just a prologue, something that's an introduction to Vincent. A lot of people say that Vincent could be the police officer that killed Screech or James. But others say that the cop's name was Richard, not Vincent. Then someone said that Vincent could actually be Ren. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. But I just thought that it was quite amazing. Like the introduction of it itself. Oh, what a beautiful shame. The sunflowers wilt when the skies do not rain. Just a beautiful presentation. I mean, myself, I thought that it was just grand. I mean, like the guy is very poetic for whatever reason. He's very poetic, and he's not as appreciated as he ought to be. I mean, like I said, the music industry is flooded with people. Flooded. Like sometimes a person goes unknown or unappreciated for a long duration of time before they spark and just spread like a wildfire. I mean, sometimes it just doesn't happen the way that you think that it ought to happen. I just don't understand. I mean, honestly, I just don't understand that at all. I mean, the guy is massively talented, massively talented. His poetic stances, ability to bring forth relational, societal, and emotional revelation through manifestation of words is basically unmatched by anyone that's in the industry right now. Period. I mean, the amount of poetic junction that he puts into his every song is absolutely insane. Even when it's losing it, just a crazy song that he put together. He has a lot of metaphors in it. Even the production that he did in the UK, Fire in the Booth, very descriptive. That's just my point of view. I mean, my point of view. It's quite shocking to me. Very shocking to me. However, today I'm going to do Troubles, the acoustic version. I'm starting to notice that a lot of people love the acoustic version of Ren. They love the acoustics. For whatever reason, they love the acoustics. It has to be the acoustics. So I'm doing the acoustics today. You feel me? The acoustics. But I just don't understand. But I just don't understand. I'm being honest about it. But I like a lot of people love the acoustics for some reason. It's just quite amazing to me. But I'm going to give this a look at, the acoustic version of Troubles. And also I'm going to do chapter 1. I'm going to do chapter 1 today. Not all 8 chapters today, but I will do chapter 1 so that I can get a deeper insight into Ren's personality. A lot of people have been mentioning this too. I should do the 8 chapters, do the 8 chapters, do the 8 chapters, please do the 8 chapters. Okay. After hearing Troubles, the acoustic version, I will do chapter 1. So I would like to say that I really appreciate all my subscribers, all the advice, all the knowledge, everything. Even talking about Vincent van Gogh, the painter, look-alike in Vincent's tale was something that I didn't really consider at the time. And then I started to really visualize what you guys were talking about. Also with the sunflower. He's a very peculiar artist too. Very peculiar person. Van Gogh's history is very peculiar. Like very peculiar. Like I told someone the other day, Vincent van Gogh. His life is almost like an Edgar Allan Poe novel. Like The Telltale Heart. There's so much in Vincent van Gogh's past, or his history, I should say, that would cause a regular man, a sane person, to question reality, the way that he lived his life. If what I've read about him is true, it's just biographies upon his life. Who can accredit it? I wasn't there, but yeah. But all the information that I get from my subscribers is absolutely fantastic, and I really appreciate you guys. To those who are not subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate your subscription. But without further ado, let's get to Troubles, the acoustic version.
Oh, Lordy, now trouble's so high. Oh, Lordy, now trouble's so high. And don't nobody know my troubles but God. Don't nobody know my troubles but God. I don't reach into the past very much for these shards of shattered glass and harsh paper cuts. Leave me stuck when I'm reaching. Memories are seeped in hydrochloric acid. I go to war and get passive and freeze up. Music helped the ice to thaw. Put the chisel in the middle, swing the hammer of Thor. Pull it out of the impossible, Excalibur sword. Etching notepads for the reasons why my feelings are sore. The first day that I got sick, ejected from the cockpit of living. 19, young teen, waking up bitten. Posters up, manhunt, Ren went missing. Hard to have faith when the gods don't listen. The first hit maybe was the hardest. Waking in the body that was buried like a carcass. Brain in the lion's den, body in the shark pit. Waking up in pain again, aching, broken hearted, persistent little bugger. I was bouncing from a doctor to a doctor to a doctor, like a table tennis game that has no end. So be the fate of Ren. Every single question answered with a question on the end. The second year I came to terms with giving up my dreams. Mine severed from the means that helped me write these rhyme schemes. Brain was inflamed, the fatigue was crushing. Hard to remain sane with your brain combusting. And the third year was murder, living in a purgatory full of worry, wouldn't live to be 30. Lifestyle hurt me, always in my bed. Tomb rearranged the alphabet, all the letters spelled doom. Light hurt my eyes, popping pills to survive. When you're 23 and mentally you steadily decline. 24 I was poor, disability benefits. What's the benefit of disability? It's irrelevant. 25, the scars that were etched, they crack. Elastic bands only stretch so far and then snap deep in psychosis. Hallucinations, trouble vision, visits from the underworld for conjuring my superstition. 25, living back at home with my mum, but not because I'm a bum, alone and physically done. So thin, so frail, so weak I'd become, and my skin so pale, never kissed by the sun. One time I carved a hole in my chest just to feel. I wish that was a metaphor, the struggle was real. When you're living in the Holocaust you buckle and kneel. There's relief in the teeth of the kiss of cold steel. Facts. 26, I'm highly medicated, on the pain sophisticated, while I'm lying broken naked on my back. I brought my microphone into my coffin, started dropping raw thoughts with a grim reaper knocking on the trap. But then man, lo and behold, I saw this angel beckon on the treacherous road. Was a stem cell doctor with a generous glow, and the cell transplant brought me out of the cold. And my skin got younger and my body got stronger, and my stomach felt hunger for a door that was closed. And my soul heard music for the first time. Beauty was a word I'd use for this gift of gold. Oh Lord, I forgive you. Lord, I forgive you. Lord, I forgive you. Make me whole. This music I give you, pain that I live through, everything I've been through is yours to hold. Oh Lordy, now trouble so high. Oh Lordy, now trouble so high. And don't nobody know my troubles but God. Don't nobody know my troubles but God.
It seems like every time you guys make a suggestion, it tends to be the right one because the acoustic version hits differently. It just hits differently. It's more clear, it's more crisp. It seems like it's more personable. Oh Lord, my trouble's so hard. No one knows my troubles but God. Like, wow. Absolutely, absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I don't go into my past very much. Shards of shattered glass and paper cuts. Hydrochloric acid. I go to war and get passive. I freeze up. Music help the ice thaw. I chisel in the middle with the hammer of Thor. Pull out the impossible like the Excalibur sword. So the chisel's in the middle, right? He hits it with the hammer of Thor. He pulls it out like the Excalibur sword. The same chisel. So he's saying that he puts the same pain in himself, and by himself, he removes it with the strength that is granted to him. Now, who else can paint a picture like that? Oh, like I'm asking, who else? 19 young teen waking up bitten. Posters up, manhunt, Ren is missing. It's hard to have faith when the gods don't listen. Like, listen. 19 young teen waking up bitten. Posters up, manhunt, Ren is missing. It's hard to have faith when the gods don't listen. This guy is something different, man. This guy's absolutely something different. Like what I was trying to explain to you. He's saying he's the same guy that freezes up when he goes to war. He freezes up. But the music, he says, helps thaw the ice. And then he takes a chisel, puts it in the middle, and hits it with the hammer of Thor. And then he gets the strength to pull out that same chisel as if it was Excalibur's sword. Then he said he was a young teen, at 19, a young teen, and waking up bitten by the tick or whatever. And he says that the posters are up and they're saying it's a manhunt because Ren is missing. He got sick. Somehow he got sick, you know? And he says it's hard to keep faith when the gods don't listen. Is he saying that these false deities or whatever he was praying to had no type of answer for his suffering? And that which he could not see, you know, the Excalibur sword, the power that he did not attribute to a Thor, that he put in himself by putting that chisel within himself, but this unforeseeable strength gave him the power to pull out what he had put in. He's a very deep guy. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It's just like, it's amazing to me the things that he goes through. Even when he said that in the music, when he further goes down to explaining himself, he says that he felt like he was buried like a carcass, brain in a lion's den, body in a shark pit, waking up again, and pain, aching, and brokenhearted. So, because he's still in this trap that he has placed himself in. And that's why he says it's hard to have faith when the gods don't listen. Meaning that he was praying to something that was not answering him. He's going through this harsh pain. But Then again, he says, fatigue crushing. It's hard to remain sane when your brain's combusting. Purgatory full of worry. Wouldn't live to see 30. The bed tomb. Rearrange all the letters in the alphabet. All the letters spell doom. Like, this is like something that reminds me of what he said in Baggage, Purgatory. Like, he says, Purgatory, worried that I wouldn't see 30. Like, in Baggage, he was in a pub called Purgatory. And it reflects back to what he's saying in this particular stanza right here. When he says, fatigue crushing. It's hard to remain sane when your brain's combusting. Understand what I'm saying? He's saying, like, purgatory, worried that he wouldn't live to see 30. You understand what I mean? Like, he's revealing certain things in other raps or other music that he has done already. He's revealing certain things, and it's like a full package. He wants you to be able to go back, like when he says at the beginning of this rap, he says shards of shattered glass. That's in Slaughterhouse. When he says, I crawl through shards of shattered glass, a master class of surviving the plaster cast. And then he says paper cuts. Plaster is basically paper. So he's always leading back to other music that he has already done. Makes him a complete rapper. That's why I said from the beginning of this video, I don't understand why he's not more known. Then he goes in to say something like, 26 fully medicated, pain sophisticated, broken, naked, on my back, Grim Reaper knocking on the track. Yes, he said Grim Reaper knocking on the track. It just seems like he's saying that in every single song that he had put out, the Grim Reaper is always lurking. He's always in this pain that's leaving him naked and broken and on his back. This guy, I'm telling you, it's completely different from what you can really identify to anybody else that's in the music industry because of the pain that he had to overcome. Then he says, lo and behold, I see an angel backing on his treacherous road, a stem cell doctor with a generous glow. Then his skin became healthier, he became stronger, and he had a hunger. Like he was able to eat again. You know what I mean? Because someone said that he was on like vegetable, like liquid diet or something like that. And it was such a long period of time before he could even eat a rice cake. So I do remember all the commentary. I'm not just listening to his music and just giving reaction to his music. I'm giving you what you guys have given me in regards to him. He's a very unique person. And then he said it towards the end that he forgave the Lord. He forgave the Lord, you know. Now I said that's a very strong statement because what has the Lord did to him? He can always say that he never asked to be here, you know, and he forgives the Lord for bringing him upon the earth. You can admit that. Brand is a very deep person. All the suffering that he has gone through in his life, and now he says that all the music that he does now is dedicated to the Lord. You know what I'm saying? He was giving the Lord, you know, this particular song. Or all of his music, potentially. That's why I said he's very deep and you just don't know what he's doing unless he says so. So basically, no one knows what another person's going through, another person's thinking unless they give up the goods. So basically, I'm going to watch chapter 1 of the 8 chapters. Wow. This is absolutely crazy. I want to say timeout, cut. We have to end it here, but I said I'll do chapter 1, so let's do chapter 1.
Hello, everyone. This is the first time I've done something like this before. I wanted to write it down because there's a lot and I didn't want to miss anything. And some parts of this might be a little bit uncomfortable to listen to, but I wanted to stay as true as possible to the story, not miss anything. For the sake of people who might be going through something similar, or for the sake of people who don't, but want to help understand a little bit more. Yeah. I promise that everything in this story is 100% true. Nothing is exaggerated for dramatic effect. Some names I don't mention and some details I don't go too far into or downplay them for the sake of the people around me. Timelines might occasionally be a little bit off, but that's just because I've had to write everything from memory from a time that was quite hazy. I asked before embarking on this journey with me that you all respect the privacy of myself and the people around me. You might be compelled to reach out to some of the people that I mention, cast judgment, praise them, criticize them, and I ask you kindly not to. It's my choice to be in the public eye, and it's mine alone. This is the first time my story is on the public record in a concise way. Being in the public eye is strange. The more that I give to you, the less that I get to keep for myself. I don't find the experience of sharing particularly enjoyable. I don't so much like the questions that follow. And I'm not a medical expert, so I don't like to be seen as somebody with all the answers, because I don't have them. And because of the empathy that I feel, I'm compelled to try and help as many people as possible. But the last time I opened myself up to this on a one-on-one basis, I was surrounded by a lot of death. And there simply weren't enough hours in the day. So I ask you, if you need support, please reach out to a professional or use my music as your companion. I share my story in hopes that somebody who needs it finds it, that it provides hope, that it might ease the suffering for the people like me. I like my solitude, so I ask that anyone who respects the work I make and respects my contribution to the world to respect my solitude. A lot happened in my teenage years, and I didn't live the most normal of lives, but I'll save that story for another time. The important thing to contextualize this story is that I was full of life. I was full of a burning desire to change the world. The flaws in how we interact seemed obvious to me. I believed in people's power to change the unnecessary suffering we inflict upon ourselves. I was also enamored with music. Music is the closest thing to God that I have. It's a gateway to the unexplainable, and it's a way of communicating the inexpressible. There's just one moment that I want to share with you from the years before I got sick. I was 17 and I felt indestructible. I'm not sure why, but my whole life I had this feeling inside myself that I was meant to do something important, not for myself, not for praise, not for personal gain, but something that would change the world for the better. It's hard to describe it without coming across like an egomaniac or having some sort of God complex, but I felt like I had some sort of divine purpose. And I remember feeling this so strongly that one afternoon after school, I stood in the center of my bedroom and I spoke loud into an empty void. I said that I would single-handedly take on and defeat the forces of evil, and I welcomed them to try their best. Throughout the years, that memory stuck with me, taunting me sometimes. Flash forward to 2019. I remember the first day I knew something was wrong very well. I woke up in an unfamiliar room in Cardiff, feeling like a raven had perched itself upon my heart. Every time my heart beat, it's like some part of me was aware of the foreboding death sentence that was to come. Some sort of primal instinctive dread. Everything felt wrong, and I felt prosthetic, like I could tear my own skin off and observe though I was watching passively from another room. The night before, I'd been in Cardiff visiting friends in university. It was the end of summer, we'd gone out to a few bars. I wasn't really enjoying myself. That year I'd been struggling with social anxiety, perhaps from years of abusing my brain with a whole pick and mix and selection of party drugs. Engaging with society felt like stepping into the ring with a heavyweight champion. Every single fucking question felt like an oncoming haymaker I had to socially navigate because of my very limited toolkit of charisma at the time. I don't know why I cared about being liked so much, but the more I cared, the less equipped I became to have a simple human conversation. I used to deal with this by getting fucking hammered. That night was no exception. I got smashed, lost my phone, and woke up in a strange apartment. In the bed opposite mine was a snoring rugby player and his girlfriend. Everything just seemed off, and it wasn't a hangover. My first thought was I'd been spiked. I quietly gathered all my belongings and left before anyone could wake up and punch me with a conversation. I wandered around the grey Cardiff in the haze, feeling like I've just been rigged up to an IV bag full of ketamine and cyanide, and the whole world just seemed off, like I was looking at it through a tunnel. A heavy feeling of fear clung around me like a straitjacket. The only comforting thought was that with enough time, rest and water, it would pass, but it didn't. For 8 long years, it didn't. And this is my story of an 8-year-long nightmare. I returned back to my dad's home. He was living with his partner at the time. It wasn't my home, so I already felt uncomfortable and out of place. These unusual symptoms persisted. I figured I'd caught some sort of virus and I'd get better with time. But by the end of the week, things were a lot worse. I took myself to the doctor and he said he thought it sounded viral, that if I went home and got enough rest, it would eventually pass. And it didn't. For 8 years, it didn't. I returned for my second year of university. My brain was full of fog and my body felt poisoned. There were intermittent days where I felt like a hollow suit of skin. I'd sit in lectures unable to focus and was devoid of any sort of personality. I'd be able to have basic conversations, yeses and nos, but I was stripped of the ability to think spontaneously. It's like my body was taking up so much processing power being sick that I could not have original or spontaneous thought. The most peculiar thing about this was there was a me that was aware that this was all happening and was observing it from outside of myself, locked out, screaming silently, banging on the walls of my mind to be let in, and never successfully. And nonetheless, there I was, like a ghost haunting myself. My usual routine was getting home, running a shower and curling up into a ball to cry underneath the running water, not understanding what was going on. I brought myself to the doctors numerous times during this period, requesting every blood test they'd let me have, often being dismissed and told things like stress from university can cause strange symptoms. But how come no one I knew in university could relate to this? Eventually I was put on a 6-month-long waiting list to see a mental health specialist who did a short 1-page questionnaire and wrongly diagnosed me as hypercycling bipolar and put me on a course of citalopram. After a few weeks it stole my ability to sleep. I was told to stick it out and it would level out and eventually I'd feel more like myself. I stuck it out and I got worse, and I pulled myself off it after 2 weeks in a row of sleepless nights and insomnia. There's something pretty peculiar about being told you're in some sort of spectrum of madness. Even if you suspect that you're mad, your diagnosis finds a way to claw itself into your identity even if it doesn't belong to you. Ever since I was a child, I'd always be asking what and why and how things worked. I couldn't really accept things as they were without knowing how. I carried into my adult years, and so as the bipolar hammer crashed and sentenced itself into my reality, I began searching online for behaviours associated with it, people's first-hand experiences, what it felt like to be manic. In these earlier days of my illness, the symptoms would fluctuate in severity day by day. Some days I'd be in a thick, tired fog, and other days they'd be more merciful. I began to associate the days of not suffering as mania and would act more erratically on the days that my symptoms were less bothersome. I did things like climbing out of windows of a 6-story student accommodation or get so drunk I'd wake up outside of the university campus lawn. But it wasn't mania, I just wasn't hurting. I spent 1 day a week with my therapist, who was teaching me cognitive behavioural therapy. The issue was, mentally reframing unexplainable symptoms caused a lot of cognitive dissonance for me. I was told my anxiety or depression was causing my symptoms, but in reality it was my symptoms which were making me anxious and depressed. So I was in some sort of inescapable bind. I'd devotedly work on my mental health, following every new tool for coping to the letter, only to have my symptoms get worse, which made me frustrated, raise the intensity of my treatment, only to get even more frustrated as my body seemed to deteriorate. After 6 months, I told my mum I'd happily saw off my own leg with a blunt knife if it meant my symptoms would vanish, and I meant it. I told her if I had to live with this strange feeling for 1 more year, I'd kill myself, and I meant that too. But something happened that winter which showed me firsthand the horrors and the fallout from suicide. I met Joe when I was 9 years old. I remember the first time clearly. I was standing in his living room when he turned to me and he was like, "Watch this." Then he proceeded to climb on top of his sofa and did a front flip onto a stone living room floor. He landed on his back and lay motionless for a few seconds before grinning, getting up, and then doing it all over again. We grew up terrorising the streets of the small village we grew up in, playing knock-door run or breaking into people's gardens to play on their trampolines. We stayed friends throughout high school, going through various phases together. Joe was comedian of the group. I remember countless mornings after messy all-nighters, Joe would be cracking endless jokes like a professional stand-up routine, and we'd all be in tears laughing. When I started writing my first songs, Joe and Sega were the first people who always knew every word, and they would sing along at the top of their lungs. They gave me a lot of self-belief, and they helped me build the foundation of what I do today, and I owe them a lot for that. That Christmas, I came back home to Wales from university. On Christmas Eve, me and Joe were sat in a pub, and he turned to me, and he told me that he'd fantasised about walking into the sea until he was totally submerged. He had a pretty morbid sense of humour, so I didn't really take him as seriously as I should have. 2 days later, it's 3 a.m, and I get a phone call. It's my friend Ella. She tells me that Joe is on the bridge by my house. He was drunk, he'd called her up, and he told her he was going to jump. I was still half asleep. I fumbled, pulling on whatever clothes I could that were near, and I walked out of the front door, and the winter air stung my face, and it woke me up. Adrenaline kicked in, and I started sprinting towards the bridge. It was about a 5-minute walk, a 2.5-minute sprint. As I was running, I dialed Joe's number, and I get a busy tone, and I felt relief because it meant he was still alive. I kept hitting redial as I ran, and as I got about halfway to the bridge, the busy tone changes. I get an automated voice note saying the number's out of service, and my heart sunk. I got to the suspension bridge that connects Anglesey to the mainland, and it usually looks very beautiful. I sprint up and down the bridge yelling Joe's name, and silence, and it's deafening. And I peer over the bridge into the blackness, and the bridge sits about 100 feet above the water. Hitting cold water at that height is like smashing into concrete. And the waters are notoriously dangerous because of the cross current. I hear nothing, no sounds, nothing. I run up and down the bridge about 2 times before I spot a figure at the end of it, and my heart jumps into my throat, and I run towards the figure, and it's my friend Ricky who's had the same call, and we both run around up and down the bridge and around the surrounding area looking for Joe. More of his friends eventually arrive, and there's nothing. I was about a minute too late. We spent the next week walking up and down beaches with flashlights. And when it's that dark, every other large rock starts to look like a washed up body. We plastered all the neighbouring towns in missing posters, contacting whoever we could, someone who might know something. We checked bank records to see if any money had been withdrawn since he went missing. There was CCTV footage of him walking onto the bridge, but there wasn't any of him coming off. But there were dead zones in the footage, so there was still a small chance he could be alive. I was sleeping about 3 hours a night, pretty determined that we'd still find him. For about 10 days we had nothing, and then suddenly a call comes through while we're all at my friend Miles's house having food. It's the police. A body had been found in the water by the bridge. We piled into my friend's car. I remember being in the back seat in floods of tears, repetitively punching the back of the passenger seat as we drove to the scene. As we pull up, I saw a lifeless body being zipped up into a green bag near a parked ambulance. Its skin was bloated by the seawater, and it wasn't Joe. Someone else decided to jump that day. Joe was never found. It's difficult to truly let go when you can't say goodbye. For months following, I held on to this fantasy that we'd get a call that he'd run away to some European town, and he was happy and he was healthy. But that call never came. The time during his inquest was also around the time I was struggling with the side effects of a new antidepressant. I remember sitting in the courtroom feeling like I was listening to the whole thing deep underwater. The judge felt the circumstances surrounding Joe's death didn't mean The judge felt that the circumstances surrounding Joe's death meant that the verdict was left open. It kind of stung even more to not have an official ruling of suicide. I remember going to visit his mum not long after and witnessing the aftermath of a mother grieving for her baby boy. The silence of his father, the tears of his mother. I decided that day that I'd have to wait until my illness killed me because I couldn't do it by choice. I couldn't put my family through that. Over the next 10 years, I returned to my hometown, only a handful of times following Joe's death. My last visit was in the summer of last year. I reconnected with Joe's parents and showed them a song that I'd written, simply entitled For Joe. We cried together, reminisced together, joked, and I'm proud to say that I gave Joe's mum enough money to afford a caravan she told me she'd been saving up for. That felt pretty good. We'd also do a fundraiser for the Royal National Lifeboat Institution, who were integral for searching for Joe during that time, and we raised a pretty good amount of money too. Being able to give back in whatever small way I could felt good, and it felt right for all the years Joe had made us all laugh till it hurt. He was a solid person, just a little lost, as we all are sometimes. And I miss him. Life was about to take an even more unusual turn, and I was about to meet the first angel of this story. So stay tuned for that. It's hard to take off from the ground when your wings are cut. Your stomach burns when you're drinking from an empty cup. You know the entire ocean came from my tear ducts. I see the world through Fibonacci sequences and double Dutch. I guess there's some that's born lucky, there's some that's not. I tried to cut away my bitterness, hatchet job. I locked my youth inside the trunk, inside the pickup truck, then dumped that whole thing over that same bridge the night you jumped. I think about that sometimes, vividly. What it felt like to look down and see tranquility. One sudden movement in a world of possibility. Only one movement to expose our fragility. I fucking miss you, and I miss myself. I miss thinking we were indestructible as hell. I miss chilling by the pier cave and kicking back with Callum, Hugo, Justin, Sega, Stevie and the fucking lads. I miss missing that. I numb myself to close the gap. I never even call them up. Distance is my plaster cast to tell the truth. The day you jumped, my childhood jumped too. But I still can't find the anger. All I find is missing you, man, I miss you. With all my rhymes, I picture running 5 minutes quicker, I'm right on time. I picture pulling you back over the edge and then we're crying, and holding you, my brother, and telling you that it's fine, not the way that it worked. I was late like a jerk, there's not a day where I can find a way to break from the hurt. Your body missing, so we never got to wave to the hearse. I hope you're listening, I love you, man, I miss you, absurd, fuck. Another domino, it falls. Across the way another's born. How you're supposed to raise a child and give it courage from a storm. In a world that is confusing, contradictions pave our flaws. Some will say we're only human, others judge us for our flaws. Some get born in sheets of satin, some get by in tattered clothes. Some will die before they live, that's just how the story goes. But for those of us still with us, who reside inside our hearts, tell them proudly how you feel. And for those of us who aren't, freckled angels stand strong, freckled angels live on, freckled angels climb higher, freckled angels still inspire, freckled angels won't forget you, teach me to live my life better. 13 years and still I miss you, now my wings are missing feather. Otherwise I'd come and join you, but for now I'm here on earth, stuck inside this mortal body. But for everything it's worth, made me braver, made me wiser, made me stronger, made me true, made me face the world with courage, and that's all because of you. Freckled angels laugh the hardest, and their hearts, they are the largest. With their wings, they fly the farthest. So I know you're gonna be okay. Freckled angels live the longest, and their minds, they are the strongest. Oh, their friends, they are the fondest. So I know you're gonna be okay.
You guys really know how to take a person through a tailspin experience. I mean, this is absolutely crazy, you know. Troubles and for Joe, come on now. Then the first chapter, man, you talking about a 3-punch KO, man. That's absolutely heartless. Renegades, absolutely heartless. You know, you send me through Troubles Acoustics, the first chapter, then for Joe. That's connected to the first chapter. It's kind of hard to take off from the ground when your wings are cut. Your stomach burns when you drink from an empty cup. You know the entire ocean came from my tear ducts. I see the world through Fibonacci's sequences and double Dutch. I guess some are born lucky, and there's some that's not. I put my youth inside the trunk of a pickup truck, then dumped the whole thing over the same bridge the day you jumped. I think about this sometimes vividly, how it felt to look down and see tranquility. One sudden movement in a world of possibility. One movement to expose our fragility. This is Ren. Your stomach burns when you drink from an empty cup. You know the whole ocean, the entire ocean came from my tear ducts, meaning that everything that he had in his cup, all the water, water is the spring of life. All the life that he had, all the water came from his tear ducts. And he said the entire ocean, because our tears are salty. The entire ocean, all the salt water came from his tear ducts. He poured out all of the water that was in his cup, in his mind. Now he drinks from an empty cup. His youth, everything that he was passionate about, was dumped over. His childhood jumped the same day he did. Another domino falls. Another one is born. How do you raise a child to have courage in the eye of the storm? He said that he was the poisonous one, the eye of the storm. And I think it was hunger. I believe it was hunger or murderer. Said he was chewing toadstools. But the thing is, he's saying that he's the poisonous one, so he chews himself, just as he said that he hammers in the chisel and he pulls it out himself like a Excalibur sword. This guy is like, I'm trying to tell you how brilliant this person is. Whether you understand what I'm saying or not, I'm letting you know how brilliant this person is, and you or others may be taking its surface, and I'm saying like, listen, this guy is very deep, bro. Oceanic deep. I numb myself to close the gap. The distance was my plaster cast. What in the world? Like, what in the world, man? Wow. Trying to run to him. Saying that he was a minute away. And then he said he can envision. He had a vision, but it didn't take place. But he envisioned him pulling him back from the edge and holding him, saying, brother, it's going to be fine. And all this other stuff that he put in this particular rhyme scheme. It's absolutely like heroic, man. His ability to bring across understanding the music is absolutely stunning. Period. Like when Ren has said in For Joe, the song that we just listened to, in a world that is confusing, contradictions pave our floors. Some say that we're only humans, while others judge us by our flaws. Some will die before they live. That's just the way the story goes. And this is what he meant by the freckled angel being Joe. Some die before they live. That's just how the story goes. And Joe saved his life by taking his own life in a crazy way. In a crazy way, because he was planning on committing suicide if he had to live that way for another year, in pain and not knowing, and if he was going to ever pull through. And this is like, bro, like, why did you guys do me like this? But then he says, though, but for everything it's worth, it made me strong, made me true. made me face the world with courage, and that's because of you. Freckled angel, fly the furthest. With the wings they fly the furthest. And the friends are the fondest. And I know you're going to be okay. I mean, like, oh my goodness, this, man. Talking about carrying around a weight. Talking about carrying a weight around. Wow. Troubles, the first chapter, and for Joe. In one setting is monumental. I'll tell you that right now. To all my subscribers, I really appreciate you guys. I really do appreciate you guys. Make sure you pick up your cousin memorabilia from the merch store. Make sure you do that. Support your boy. I appreciate all those that have already gone. I really do appreciate you guys. To those who are not subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate your subscription. And I do hope if you do subscribe to this channel that you would treat me more fair than what the renegades had treated me today. Troubles, first chapter, and for Joe. That was brutal. But leave a comment below. Leave a like, share this video. And until next time, deuces.